Think spraying toxic metals and other chemicals into our sky to fall down to us is still a conspiracy theory? Do you think that chemtrails weren't real? Well, think again, because there is a wealth of government information and documents explaining the historical and ongoing poisoning of our environment and of people directly by psychopaths who will tell you they're trying to protect the environment. But we are the environment. And this lunacy must end now. Tonight, this is the Dr. Jane Ruby Show, and you're about to enter Truth in Medicine. Welcome to the Dr. Jane Ruby Show on this Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. Well, I was among the skeptics several years ago when I started to see evidence in the sky of strange cloud configurations, an abnormal dimming of the sun's natural light, and complaints from all over the world, including the people that follow my work and comments publicly, or those who wrote to me directly to tell me about patterns of illnesses and these strange cloud configurations for days at a time. Then we all started to spot the airplanes going around and back and forth. Well, just yesterday, a very important bill, passed in the Florida Senate, sponsored by Senator Ileana Garcia, and it passed by a vote of 6-3. Now, I'm not much for politicians or legislative work, as you know, because I don't trust any of them. But I've always said the best chance we have for change is change to stop the crimes against us on any level, and the poisoning from things such as the COVID bioweapon shots and other attacks upon us by our own government. The only chance we have is from the local level and possibly a little bit from the state level, although much of the state levels across the country are totally corrupted as well. But there are some glimmers of light. First, I want to make note of the 3 scumbag cockroaches in the Florida Senate who voted no to this bill. They didn't win, of course. The vote was 6-3. I'm going to talk more about that later. But let's face it, voting no to stop poisoning your constituents is a little bit of a huge red flag for me. Let's not only make them famous, but let's see if we can do some research into their financial disclosures and other disclosure forms to see if there's a money trail. Here are the 3 cockroaches that actually voted no to stop spraying heavy metals and other poisons into your air that you breathe every single day, that your children breathe, that your babies breathe. These are Senators Arrington, Carlos Smith, and Tina Polsky. And here you have the voting record. How dare they? How dare they? Well, we're going to see. And we're going to start a little bit of a campaign to start holding elected officials accountable. Again, a little more on that later. It is very likely, though, and here's why I want to make them famous. It is very likely that these legislative pigs voted no because they have a financial obligation from a donation or lobbyist requesting their vote to squash this. Even though it didn't work, these scumbags are accountable for failing to do their duty and protect their citizens. But let's get into the information on the dangers and the report that was used in Senator Garcia's presentation to the legislature in her attempt to move this bill along. The report was incredibly fascinating because it exposes the realities of the many approaches to poisoning us from the sky and the eclectic collection of perpetrators and technologies that have actually been in operation for many years. Yes, it's the government. But did you know that spraying toxic materials, liquid metals, poisonous aerosols is pretty much unregulated? Did you know that anybody can just go to a small aviation center, hire a pilot, retrofit a plane or a private jet with the material to spray, and send them up in the sky for a fee without filing government papers or any oversight on that activity, or any other obligation to notify the public? Well, now you do. And this is part of the danger. But the larger program comes from the federal government, of course, because they're on a mass genocide mission to permanently disable some and murder others in America and across the world. Let's start with the agency is NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which claims it's an American scientific and regulatory agency. Sounds good, doesn't it? Like, well, they're scientific, they know what they're doing, and they're regulatory agency, so they'll be sure to make sure everything's done right. Trust the science. Charged with forecast. Listen, this is what their agency was created for. Listen very carefully and see if you hear anything about chemtrails. Ready? Charged with forecasting the weather, monitoring oceanic and atmospheric conditions, monitoring, not managing, charting the seas, conducting deep sea exploration, and managing fishing and protection of marine mammals and endangered species in the U.S. The agency is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and it's headquartered in Silver Spring, Maryland. I didn't read anything in there about deliberate, large-scale action intended to decrease global average surface temperatures by increasing the reflection of sunlight away from the Earth. I didn't read anything in there about spreading dangerous metals and poisonous chemicals into our atmosphere that every living thing depends on this planet. What am I missing? Who gives them the right to do this? Without our knowledge, without our permission. You're not free. You're a slave who's being poisoned. Let's get a better understanding of the Florida State Senate Bill 56. And I'm taking some of these excerpts from the committee's report. This is the report that was supportive, the main supportive document to SB 56 here in Florida. And listen, it doesn't matter if you're in Florida or not. Tennessee has a bill, a couple of other states. You need models. You need success. You need to watch what is being done here. And we need to watch it, vigilant that it doesn't change or get weakened. So this report was used to present the situation of geoengineering and weather modification. These are not conspiracy theories anymore. This is all happening in plain sight, and it has been happening for quite a while. You know, I really believe the COVID hoax was a gift, as painful as it's been. It's a gift because it really was the beginning of, Toto pulling that curtain aside so that you could see the real making of the sausage and all the crimes being committed against us. The entire climate change hoax, the fake basis for actually damaging the natural aspects of our environment, including our atmosphere, is a woke, far left-wing, psychopathic wet dream of controlling the Earth's climate. But it's really a eugenics program to do the opposite. Eugenics through damaging the air, the water, the food, the crops, the soil. The next section in the report you see here is about solar radiation modification, which is a big fancy word, or phrase rather, for interfering with the sun's rays reaching the Earth. How diabolical is that? Hello? Knock, knock, knock. Anybody out there? They're using multiple technologies. What you were seeing and what we were seeing a few months ago were a place like Florida that I've been coming to for 30, 40 years, that I've lived in for several years, never, ever saw dimming, never saw fog. It was always sharp. And when I had an occasion over the holiday to go deep into the Caribbean, it's a whole other picture, let me tell you. It's back to the good old days. Crystal clear, azure blue skies, occasional puffy clouds, not striations, and clouds that look like they were, vibrated out. And you know what? They don't even know. They don't understand the extent to which these approaches can harm the Earth. Never been tested. No long-term data collection. just like the mRNA poison shots. They're just going to do what they want to do they're going to call themselves scientists with no real exploration, pre-exploration, before putting it out there. And they just assume that we're all going to accept the fact that, hey, we're all, breathing and damaging the climate. They're doing more to damage the earth, the atmosphere, the air, the water, and to race us to annihilation than anything 6, 7, 8 billion people on the planet can do. They're just doing what they want without any real evidence, which is why the National Oceanic Atmospheric Agency is a joke and an agency that immediately should be defunded and shut down, should be destroyed. Why isn't that happening? Okay, let's go a little further into how the report breaks down. SB 56 prohibits, this is the goal of this bill. This is why this is very big news. Didn't make a lot of splash. Kudos to Children's Health Defense, the agency that Bobby Kennedy has apparently abandoned because his testimony was everything against everything he did with that organization that he founded. But kudos to them for bringing this out, for highlighting Senator Garcia's incredible work. But here's what the bill does. SB 56 prohibits across the board weather modification activities. Boom, period, done. Specifically, the bill prohibits the injection, the release, or dispersion by any means of a chemical compound, a substance, or any apparatus into the atmosphere from either the ground or the sky within the borders of the state for the express purpose of affecting the temperature, weather, or intensity of sunlight. The bill increases the fine for any person who conducts a weather modification operation from a paltry, in my opinion, $500 to $10,000. The bill repeals all other existing weather modification statutes in the state of Florida. So it's got a lot of good teeth to it. But let's take a step back for a moment, because I'm about teaching, empowering you with information and education. What is geoengineering and weather modification? Closer look. Geoengineering and weather modification are a range of techniques. So you've got to think about that as an umbrella term with many different approaches to doing it. That's why the bill prohibits any means of doing this. It's a wide range of techniques aimed at manipulating the Earth's climate systems. It's like a bad sci-fi movie, but it's here and it's real. To modify the Earth's climate systems to change precipitation or mitigate the impacts of rising global temperatures, which no one's ever proven. It's a dynamic system. It's got balance to it. Who the hell are you psychopaths out there to touch it? And you don't even have any evidence. Well, you're all still flying private with your carbon. We got to get rid of your carbon imprint, okay? All you, climate do-gooders, your private jets, your big mansions with all your, energy usage. Let's get rid of your carbon footprint first. So anything that impacts what they claim is rising global temperatures and weather modification encompasses things like cloud seeding. It involves altering local or regional atmospheric conditions to create precipitation or reduce hailstorms. Geoengineering includes things like solar radiation modification, another big fancy phrase, which refers to large-scale actions intended to decrease global average surface temperatures by increasing the reflection of sunlight away from the Earth. I mean, to do something like that without evidence, without any information on what the long-term effects are, plants need the sunlight. We need the full spectrum of the sun. The sun is our gift. That's just the arrogance pisses me off. It's disgusting. All right, let's review the different technologies that are already in use. Okay, so several SRM methods and technologies are in play already. One is called stratospheric aerosol injection. Again, nice, big, fancy, big terms, right? A strategy that involves injecting small reflective aerosols such as sulfate into the stratosphere to increase the reflection of incoming sunlight. This is so incredibly awful and dangerous. Chemicals, sulfate. Sulfates are carcinogenic. Then there's one called marine cloud brightening. Marine cloud brightening. That sounds nice, right? MCB. It's a strategy for adding aerosol to the lower atmosphere over ocean regions to increase reflectivity of low-lying marine cloud. Just don't touch it. Then there's cirrus cloud thinning. Cirrus clouds are those nice round puffy. Cirrus cloud thinning, a strategy for modifying the properties of high altitude ice clouds. They're changing the balance. You want to talk about damage to the earth? You're changing the balance, the eco balance, the atmospheric eco balance. It's not just a cloud or, some oxygen or some water. It's an entire ecosystem balance. And what they want to do is increase the transmission of outgoing terrestrial radiation to space. Don't touch it. It all works together. Then there's something called surface albedo enhancement. Not libido, albedo. Increasing the reflectivity of surfaces through, for example, white roofs or land cover changes. And then there's space-based methods. All those structures, all those metal, all those things up there, they're not just there for your internet or your cell phone. These are methods that have primarily large mirrors in space to reflect sunlight. No wonder we're all sick. We're not getting the healing properties of the sun. We're not getting the full spectrum of the sun's light. Is it just me? Or does this sound like the work of psychopathic freaks? Because anybody in their right mind would never do this worldwide and repetitively over land and soil and people and air in their right mind. Here's a depiction from the NOAA's solar radiation modification. Here's the deal. And this is part of their fact sheet, which you can look at here. I do have the link below in the link stack. This is from their fact sheet, solar radiation modification, their state of the science fact sheet, state of the science that they've never really done, state of the research results that they've never really conducted, right? And it says here, there's no accident. We weren't, we weren't like, confused and, conspiracy tinfoil hat wearers. It says here, solar radiation modification refers to deliberate, and this should frighten you, large scale, intended to decrease global average surface temperature by increasing the reflection of the sunlight away. It's not a substitute for climate mitigation efforts, which include decarbonization and greenhouse gas emission cuts. Guys, it's just like treating the human body. It's the failed allopathic model. They give you a drug. It supposedly is for one thing, but it's not a target for that one thing. When you touch one thing, you affect all the other things. That's how the human body is. That's how life is. It's all integrated. It's not just the atmosphere. The atmosphere is integrated with the land, and so on and so on. Decarbonization? Oh, call me crazy, but the amount of carbon that's in our world was God created. And it's gone on for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. And why do we need this now? Because these nuts say it? here's the deal. Just like the COVID shot distribution, this assault on our atmosphere and the air we're breathing is kind of termed and couched under the fake label of researching a plan. All these NOAA documents say, we're researching a plan. Yeah, the problem is while they're researching the plan, they're actually implementing it. Do you see the disguise? When you hear, here's a plan, or we're gonna see if this is a future experiment, it's not. They're doing it now. The next crime of assault occurs through what's called cloud seeding. And you can do that, oh, this is great, from the ground or from an aircraft. Take a look at this. There's a cold season cloud, aircraft-based seeding. And then at the same time, from the ground, ground-based seeding. And it all, and they try to time it with airflow. And what they can do is they can cause it to rain more, not rain at all. See, if you want to burn down a town in Hawaii or California so you can land grab, you just seed it so that it takes the natural moisture away and they don't get rain for weeks at a time, so they can dry out and you can just throw a match and it's all good. Warm season cloud, salt particles used, and you get increased rain. I mean, guys, just what keeps, coming back in my head is the arrogance that goes into, well, we'll just seed the clouds and, we'll just stop the rain. And now you understand how it's not so far-fetched that they can release dams, create so much rain that when the dams get full, then they open them. And it's an orchestrated process to then create so much huge floodwater, the power raging so that it literally wipes out buildings. Or hurricanes that they can ramp up that will cost more life and loss of property. Cloud seeding. Who are you? Who gave you the right? And cloud seeding, by the way, requires the release, either from the ground or the air, as I just showed you here, of silver iodide particles into the air. Then the wind transports, it doesn't go to just one place, just like in the body. It goes everywhere. The wind transports those particles upward into the clouds where they facilitate the freezing of natural water molecules. This is outrageous. These are not without serious risks or what's called euphemistically unintended consequences, like exposure to cloud seeding chemicals. Silver iodide. Look up silver iodide. It causes skin rashes in human beings, digestive issues, and temporary mental incapacitation, fog, confusion, stress. On the land, it causes flooding and droughts and changes in precipitation patterns, not to mention the damage to our environment, our soil. No wonder we can't grow things the same way. And nobody really knows the extent of the harms because they're not studying them. And they're not studying them for the same reason they didn't take the mRNA poison through the phases of clinical research, because they knew that would never pass. The information would get out and the public would say, no way. There's plenty of information online, by the way, about the symptoms, the diagnosis, and the treatment of silver iodide toxicity that they're spraying on you right now. Why is this being sprayed in the air if it's a known pathogen, toxin? And notice that the symptoms that people can get can be very easily written off as general or related to other things, right? Stomach, oh, my stomach doesn't feel well today. And I haven't been able to eat for the last few days. We don't know what the permanent damage is to our organs and our body that will come years later. Oh, Uncle Jimmy died of, this or that, or Uncle Harry had, cancer. Well, that's part of life. No, it's not. It's not part of life, as we now know. This gives them these general symptoms and sort of, the stomach, maybe rashes, problems with your eyes. This gives the government plausible deniability. We're not trying to harm you. Or at the very least, they can say, we're not doing it. This is criminally negligent homicide, if not premeditated murder. They also use, and many of you have seen them, balloons, drones, plane-mounted electrostatic nozzles, which are charged with water particles that carry up into the clouds and are distributed by updrafts. Yeah. Remember when the drones were all flying around and the government just went, no, we don't know what it is. What, us, the government? Oh, no. Drones? You got drones over New Jersey? Who knows what that mission was? Come on. Remember, no one knows the extent of the effect long-term on human beings or our environment. And why is America so quiet? You're being poisoned daily, and you have all the evidence in front of you. Federal and most state regulations currently in place are laughable. In fact, they actually are written to enable. They sound like they're good, but they're actually written to enable these procedures, while the politicians representing you keep taking tons of money. Yep, throw the money in there to look the other way and to write bills and laws that will not only allow it, but will also incentivize it. Let's take a closer look at the 3 cockroaches that voted no on this bill in Florida to stop these toxic chemicals. First, I want to remind everyone that since I started talking about using gold and other precious metals as a safer place for your investments, your retirement funds, your IRA, even within those accounts, you can purchase gold and silver. Since I started a couple of years ago, the price of gold is almost $3,000 an ounce. When I started, I think it was around $2,100, and certainly last year when it was $2,400 or $2,500 an ounce, I was pushing people to look at this option. But I believe someday, and I'm no financial expert, but I'm just reading the tea leaves, on the trajectory and what's going on in the financial world, that this whole COVID thing was a transfer of wealth, Bank of International Settlement, murder fiasco. I can see it going to $5,000 in a few years, $5,000 an ounce, as everyone realizes that fiat currency is just going to go so far. It's not backed by anything. There may be a combination of, paper money and gold, but gold will be an advantage. It never loses its value. You've never seen gold tank. I mean, maybe little tanks, but I mean, over the course of time, like an Ibbetson's chart, it just goes up, 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 up. It is daunting, though, to think about your life savings or part of it, and it's hard to know where to start. That's why I've partnered with Augusta Precious Metals. They're not a hard sell kind of organization. They're not a flash in the pan. They're dedicated professionals. They've also put a lot of resources into educating people. They want you to be an educated consumer. They've created a 30-minute webinar that I took myself. I thought it was fantastic. I learned so much about the technical terms and what it is, what you can do, what you can't do, what you might want to do. And you can watch it on your own. You'll get the basic understanding of what this is about and how you can best use gold to protect your life's savings. I really urge you to call them today and take one of their seminars. Excuse me. They want a long-term relationship with their customers, and they want you to be an informed consumer. So please give them a call today at 888-836-1890 or click on the link below, which is learn.augustapreciousmetals.com/Jane-Ruby. It will be a great education for you and leave you with incredible peace of mind. I'll be right back.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com. Hey everyone, welcome back to the second segment of the Dr. Jane Ruby Show. Tonight, we're talking about weather modification with toxic chemicals, heavy metals, the lack of science or any kind of research behind it, yet it's moving ahead full speed. Some local and state officials across the country are getting actively involved in stopping it in their states. But just like airplanes used to have like the 20th row where they put up a little sign saying smoking, no smoking beyond this thing, as the designation for the smoking section, the absurdity it by state being that the entire environment is affected, and the same with this. But I'm glad to see that some states are working to stop it. Well, the truth is, we now know that all states need to stop it because the federal government is not only the biggest conductor of this program, they're actively incentivizing hundreds of thousands of companies and aviation centers to conduct this all over the country. And it doesn't stop there. There are active programs involved throughout the world, primarily funded and promoted by the World Economic Forum. Here's a website. This is on the WEF website. Lots of different articles, lots of programs. It's all in plain sight that they're paying for this. Geoengineering, building ethics, yeah, right. Transparency, yeah, right. And inclusion, got to have inclusion and equity. Such a woke, disgusting, should be blown off the earth. Into climate intervention research. God, these terms are just so nice and cozy and comfy. Climate intervention. Wow. Big surprise. So this is what we're talking about with chemtrails. It involves dimming the skies, chemical and mechanical obstruction of the sun's rays to the earth. Who are these monsters that are flying and dropping this poison down upon humanity? And how is it that the psychopaths that are paying for this and promoting it aren't worried about their own babies and children? I mean, take a look at this. You've got a little montage here of crisscrossing and the vibration spreading. They're using all kinds of technologies, as I reviewed in the first segment, to get this job done. And you can't inoculate the sky with poison and not expect it to be taken in over and over again by human beings. So Florida's legislature put forth SB 56, and they used a report that current weather modifications and what it will look like when this becomes law. I admit that the limits for the fines for bodily injury or death to individual persons are way too low. I mean, they start at like $500 or $1,000 to $100,000. And I say that because these are not going to be great deterrents. And I can hear the chorus. It's a start. It's a start. God, some of you are so willing to just settle for crumbs. It's amazing, especially in the 11th hour. Anyway, any person in violation of the requirements would be guilty of a second-degree misdemeanor and subject to penalties, including imprisonment of up to 60 days and a $500 fine. I mean, that just seems ridiculously low for something that's permanently or semi-permanently damaging the environment. These should be major felonies, punishable by death. You're damaging thousands and millions of people and into the future. This is what people are missing about the mRNA poisoning of our planet. Why do you keep talking about the mRNA poison shots? Because it wasn't just a one-off. You need to understand these types of programs like seeding the clouds and putting the metals and the poisons up in the sky and injecting people with synthetically created God knows what has ramifications for generations to come. And I'm not saying that's going to get softer or smoother as it works its way through. It's going to cause bigger and more serious problems as time goes on because it's going to be cumulative. This is something that is damaging the environment and possibly creating disease for years to come in both humans and the animals that we consume. We should err on the side of extreme when it comes to accountability and punishment until we know differently. Pilots could also, in this new law, lose their licenses, and I think that's an excellent part of the bill. The report goes on to review federal weather modification regulations, but as I said before, I do believe those are designed to encourage it, and they're not enforced at all, as we can see from the skies. Now, there's a tendency out there to think that, because I think DOGE is a red herring. Nobody can prove either way what it is, real, what's doing. Okay. People are saying, ever since DOGE defunded, USAID, which is probably one funding source, I would imagine, but not the only one. People have been saying chemtrails are lighter. They don't see it as much. The sun is brighter. We got to make sure this is permanent. And we still have to research into what the long-term injuries are going to be. Anyway, there's also a section in this report. Again, I have the link to the report, so you can just click on it and read it yourself. It's only 10 pages. That deals with the effective proposed changes with some amendments to a previous weather modification law in Florida. So they're cleaning up the old ones, getting rid of a lot of them. They state there's no constitutional issues in conflict according to it. And it amends about 10 to 12 other laws you can see here on the books that were inadequate in protecting us. So let's just focus one more time on the scumbags who voted no, and let me tell you why. First, the vote for the bill did pass 6-3, and that was a couple of days ago. But 3 members of the committee voted no. Can you imagine voting no on a bill that would protect the environment and human beings from being poisoned? Well, these 3 people are State Senators Kristen Arrington, Tina Polsky, and Carlos Guillermo Smith. Memorize their names, my friends. Perhaps it would be a good idea for us to look at the financial and ethical disclosure forms by these cockroaches to see whether their connections are to either the World Economic Forum, which lobbyists of these poison chemicals or aviation groups that want to profit from this attempted murder of humanity, because it pays big bucks, let me tell you. Let's see what the connections are, because why else would they vote no to something that would protect their own constituents? They could be a hero if they voted yes. It's money, 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 money all day long. And these cockroaches need to be exposed for their vote, as well as whatever incentives they may have taken to perpetuate this damage and destruction. Understand that because there's no research in this area, there's no long-term study, because they know that it's going to show profound dangers and permanent injury to people and animals in our crops, our agriculture. So they're wanting, they're just letting this go and trying to stop. They're just not really going to stop it. Those that are trying to protect us. Let's out them for it. And every representative who thinks they can vote against the people and then trot around lying to their constituents like they're taking care of business should be held to answer for this. In fact, I personally think they're criminals because they're knowingly doing this. And I think there should be citizen grand juries and citizens arrest of people like these 3 senators that knowingly commit what I feel is a crime. So be on notice, Senator Arrington. Be on notice, Senator Polsky. And be on notice, Senator Carlos Smith, that your actions are going to have legal and election consequences. You see, there is hope for pushing back on the crimes against humanity, but only if we all get informed and involved. Recently, I shared in my social media a post from a woman who, in her local area, was watching chemtrails, documenting the time of day, and then cross-using flight tracking apps that are available to everybody to pinpoint and narrow down the airplanes that were doing the spraying. You can also buttress that with FOIA requests, although that's going to take some time and might not be successful for the private companies doing it. But Anyway, she found a local aviation company connected to a particular program of spraying that was being hired to spray her area over and over again. And with a little further research, she found one of the pilots and called him. And the audio clip is priceless because she calls him
Jody?
out.
No, don't know. Well, I know a Jody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jody Fisher?
No, yeah, I know Jody Fisher.
You do? Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then who are you?
I'm one of the other captains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So come on outside. Or not. Or just whatever. Are you free? No?
No, I gotta reflare.
Okay, so
stuff, but
I have paperwork for you that I want to give to you. So
Okay.
hang tight, I'll go get it. But then we've been trying to reach Jody and you for a long time.
okay.
And we are tired of you dumping heavy metals all over our county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not the one to talk to about
No,
that.
but you are, but you're the one that's doing it. So I've been taking rain samples. I have over 20 samples. And every time you fly, we get high amounts of aluminum, barium, strontium, titanium, magnesium. So I want to know, are you aware of what you're doing? I know you think it's like to increase water supply for Turlock and Modesto, but it's not really happening.
Yeah, you can talk to them
I've tried.
about that.
I've called them, and they're not calling me back. So we're now getting really involved, and now we're going to bring something legal against your company.
Okay, well, you can talk to them about that for
I know,
sure.
but
So.
I want you to know, though, like, we are real people underneath what you're doing. You spray right over our houses. We hear you. We know you. We see you. We're watching your planes and your patterns, okay?
Yeah,
It's twice today
yeah.
now. You did 2 flights. 2 3-hour
Yeah,
flights.
it's public knowledge, yeah.
It's not really, though. That's the problem. So you have not properly notified our board of supervisors about this. Hi, are you the other pilot? Yes. Hi. What's your name?
Khaled.
Khaled?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
hi.
not,
Hi.
It's not we have people at home base that you can talk to about that stuff.
But they have not called back. So now we're getting to the point where we're getting our supervisors involved. So the supervisors of our county needs to be notified. They've not been notified. You've been doing this for 30 years. I know it's a long time. You guys are like, it's cool, it's easy. We're talking about all of the metals and the flares that you're using. So aluminum and zinc propel the silver iodide. You're spraying right over us all the time. And our plant life is suffering. They are now selling aluminum genetically modified seeds to grow food because our soil is so contaminated. Okay, so what you're spraying is not good for the environment. And it's not good for the people because there's an early onset dementia, there's Alzheimer's, things are starting to happen to people's health. And I really do believe there's a linkage to what we're breathing in the environment every day. And you guys spray us in November through April. It's your yearly contract. I'm aware of that too. So I just wanted to meet the pilots and say, where's Jody? I've called Jody. I've talked. I think Leslie was the other one. Leslie Fisher? No, it's another Fisher.
Yeah,
Lisa?
probably his wife.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
yeah, no, that's their responsibility. That's not our responsibility.
I understand, yeah. But the money that you're receiving to do this is coming from, is it taxpayers that are paying for this?
That's not my department.
I want you to be aware. Do you have family?
Yeah, I have family.
I have family too. I have children. So we're outside and we hear your plane over us all the time. And I've been tracking this for a long time. And we have tried to get the supervisors involved and they're clueless. They were not informed. According to the California codes and law, they should have notified our supervisors because you're doing this to benefit TID. Okay? But it's not. It's happening over, well, it might be, but it's happening over our area. Okay? Sonora, Groveland, Coulterville. You're doing your little figure eight loops. My 20 rain samples will show you that on the days that you're spraying, or releasing your flares, we have copious amounts of aluminum, magnesium. There's been some barium, strontium, but titanium's weird. Is titanium also in your flares? Okay, that's unique for me. So I want you to know that there are health impacts and impacts to the soil and the plant life, all of those things. And when you do this, my whole community's watching. We don't know what to do.
I understand your opinion.
It's not an opinion, so I will show you my samples.
I don't want to see your samples.
Why is that?
You can take those to
But
my
you're
farm.
flying the plane. But then how would it?
And of course, he does the Nuremberg dance where he says, hey, you'll have to talk to my bosses. I was just doing my job. You need to talk to the company. And she knew better than that. So let's take a lesson from heroes like that. Let's start making people famous who take money to murder their fellow man. Everybody can do something. And I want to make an appeal because I can't do all of it and still get the word out with the show. I'm asking you, the public, for your help. As I put out today on my Telegram and Twitter channels, if you could help me by researching public records anywhere in the nation, including Florida, but if you're in another state, anywhere in the nation, to nail the financial incentive connections between these 3 cockroaches, let's start with them, that call themselves state senators here in Florida, and any evidence that would be very much appreciated. And if it's your state, you found people that voted no or that tried to quash this kind of legislation, do the digging on them. I'll bring you on the show. If you want. If not, I'll just present what you found. I would very much appreciate that. Please send it to my public email. It's also in the link stack below at realdrjaneruby@proton.me. That's proton, PROTON.me. I'm happy to give you credit for the work if you should so choose for me to say it publicly, but we have to start making these criminals accountable. They cannot hide under the protection of their elected positions. And we don't even know if these 3 senators have oaths of office on file. Let's start there. That's easy to find online. Any evidence you can provide, I will create a dossier and I will use my platform to start outing them. And it will send a message to other elected officials. We're watching you. We're tracing your conflicts of interest if you don't do right by the people and those that have been injured. You will have to answer for it in a legitimate court of law. A special shout out tonight before I close out to Florida State Senator Ileana Garcia for her stellar work in shepherding this bill through, and also activist, former actress or current actress, the former wife of President Trump, Marla Maples, the founder of Global Wellness Forum, who also spoke at Tuesday's hearing to support the work of Senator Garcia. Maples lamented the increase in Alzheimer's disease patients as an example, and the possible connection between the advancement of the disease and the toxic poisons of weather modification. God is watching, and he expects us to do our very best with what we have to work with. So that's it, everyone. God bless you all tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Please help where you can. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning for coffee chat. Good night, everyone.